Hi folks, this is your MWIS Winter Planner as we look through the New Year period and into the start of January. Lots of snowfall came down during Storm Gerrit during Wednesday. That turned to wetter weather at lower elevations as the freezing level rose towards higher slopes during the daytime, but the higher mountains will be remaining below freezing point through the days ahead. The freezing level as we head through into Thursday at around 800 metres, a bit lower in places further north. This is the snow cover map then heading through Thursday, and if I skip the story on, you'll see how across the highlands not much will change, and if anything it will get topped up further across the mountains through the days ahead. Into the weekend, there is the potential for some further snowfalls, and that could even come in further south across the hills of Scotland and into northern England as well. That will vary a little bit as temperatures still fluctuate here through into New Year's Eve, but just look at the accumulation across the Scottish mountains. Substantial drifting as well, that snow quite variable in its distribution. Then some of the slopes may be stripped away by the wind, but some areas will see that snow cover in substantial depths. Keep an eye on the avalanche forecast as well for conditions through this period. Heading through into next week, and that snow will stay on the ground. The mountains will be staying frozen. Not a lot changes overall over a good many days ahead, and that story could be similar through the first week or more of January. Indications further through next week just give that suggestion of some snow accumulations coming down to the Pennines, the Lake District, maybe even into Wales as well. Detail will be sketchy at this distance, but it does give the potential for a sustained wintry spell with lots of snow over many mountains. The freezing level is quite variable then in the days ahead. This is through later Thursday, and as mentioned, 600 to 800 metres across Scotland. That will lower as we head through into Friday, even across England and Wales. The tops above around 800 metres or so in Wales, near or below freezing, and for the Lake District that could be down even to 700 metres across the tops here. So snow and ice to be aware of across the higher terrain. A lower freezing level broadly across the Highlands, with much terrain then frozen through Friday into Saturday. Some frost into the glens as well. A frontal system coming in from the southwest gives complications for Saturday daytime. We'll look at that on the other charts in a bit more detail in a moment, but just to say that could give some further snowfalls for Scotland and a rise of freezing level with some thawing for a while for England and Wales. And then as we go through into New Year's Eve, that freezing level comes down again, and we're back to around 600 to 800 metres broadly. Heading through into the start of the new year, and a similar sort of freezing level around that 600 to 800 metre mark into New Year's Day, a bit lower maybe inland across the Highlands, and with not too much changing in the overall story next week, but there could well be some local lowerings of freezing level, and perhaps even further south at times, with some complicated weather systems coming through. So all looking rather wintry, and the risk of some snowfalls to low elevations through the period. To give you a quick sense of the general weather situation at the moment, I'll show you this chart which has the surface pressure in the white isobars on the map, and we've got the colours representing temperatures higher up in the atmosphere at around 5 kilometres elevation. We've got the broad picture across Europe and the Atlantic here to look at, and a powerful jet stream is in play at the moment, and that's developing various centres of low pressure moving in from the west. With very cold temperatures higher up in the atmosphere, we will be seeing some rather unsettled and unstable conditions dominating. If temperatures start to rise a bit higher up in the atmosphere, that would indicate we'd get some higher pressure starting to develop. For the moment, that's not quite here for now. We have a developing low moving in during late Friday into Saturday toward the west of Ireland. That feature seems to be deepening quite quickly now as it runs in from the Atlantic, so Saturday's forecast is looking like deteriorating more rapidly than some earlier model forecasts were suggesting. That does bring the potential then for some further gales, rain and hill snow, even to quite low elevations, and that general area of low pressure will dominate into Hogmanay and through into New Year's Day as well, with a broad centre of low pressure north of Scotland. Secondary centres could well be spinning around the southern flank of that low. Overall it's unsettled then, and there's further wind, rain and hill snow very much in the forecast through that period. Into the first part of the new week, and further complex centres of low pressure trying to get in from the southwest. It could be that northern Britain is more under a broader centre of low pressure, so lighter winds overall for the next week it looks like, but complex small-scale centres of low pressure giving areas of rain and snow, even to lower elevations and further south across Britain. That story will unfold in the days ahead. Further into the week, and still we're looking at rather mixed Atlantic-driven conditions with those varied temperatures, generally cold though over the mountains, with some milder air occasionally to the south of Britain. And although the exact detail will be very much open to question at this stage, there is some suggestion of higher pressure trying to build as we go to the later stages of the week ahead. So some quieter weather on the horizon. Exactly where the high is centred is uncertain, but it still looks as though some chillier air will get trapped within that system at lower elevations in the atmosphere at least. The suggestion then as we head onwards through into the middle of January is that high pressure would be centred somewhere near and just west of Britain, low pressure would be around Scandinavia, still allowing then that chillier northerly airflow pattern to prevail. It might be that there's some quieter, drier weather in there, certainly compared to recent times. A few snow showers and flurries, though, being dragged in from the north at times, but do expect at least something drier and quite frosty to be a common story. Further onwards, and the suggestion is that pressure may just lower a little bit further around Britain, still broadly low pressure over Scandinavia. High pressure just moves away slightly further and weakens a bit over the Atlantic. There's a high towards Spain and Portugal. That would tend to allow more of a west by northwesterly airstream to come in across Britain. It may still remain on the chilly side though, so wintry showers still very much part of that forecast. Lots going on then, plenty of snow to be found over the Scottish mountains at least. Keep a close eye on forecasts for those day-to-day variations and picking a better day if you're going out to enjoy it. That's all for today. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.